Today we're going to talk about the shutter. The shutter is a device that opens and closes, allowing light to hit your film or sensor. Now this can be a physical device that rotates in a circle, or the camera can do it electronically. In a film camera, a new frame moves into place while the shutter is closed, so it's not exposed to light. You can see the shutter on this film camera is a physical device that spins. You can see that there is a mirror on the surface of the shutter. This allows you to see what the camera is seeing through the eyepiece. Now if we look over here at the Sony E&G style camera, you can see that there is a chip behind the lens. What you see in the eyepiece comes straight from the chip instead of through the mirror. There are two different ways to talk about how your shutter speed is measured. It's either in degrees or in fractions of a second. On the film camera, the shutter is a physical circle. The opening of the circle allows light to hit the film and is measured in degrees out of 360. An opening of 180 degrees is considered normal. This means that for every full rotation of the shutter, the film is exposed for 1/2 of the rotation. When digital came on the scene and didn't have the physical shutter anymore, speed had to be represented in fractions of a second. If you're shooting 24 frames per second, the equivalent of 180 degrees is 1/48 of a second. If we are shooting 29.97, the equivalent of 180 degrees is 1/60th of a second. This is because the shutter needs to be open for half the time the frame is exposed. Most cinema-style chip-based cameras have an option to choose which of the two ways you want to see your shutter speed represented on the camera. So we know what shutter is, we know how to find the standard speed. What happens when you slow down or speed up that shutter? If we slow down the shutter speed to a lower fraction of a second or larger than 180 degrees, a few things will happen. First, we are allowing more light to hit the sensor or the film in a given frame. This means you will end up with a brighter image. This also means that if anything is moving in the frame, it will have more motion blur. This is because as an object moves, it changes the way light is reflecting off of it. So you end up with a blurry image that may also look out of focus. Now as you increase your shutter speed or set your shutter angle to less than 180 degrees, the opposite will happen. You will lose light because your frame has less time to expose, so you will need more light to shoot like this. It also reduces your motion blur. So if your shutter is set too fast, you may end up with choppy looking video that doesn't seem smooth. Now both of these can be used for artistic reasons and can be very fun to experiment with. Just know that when you adjust your shutter speed, you are changing the look of your final project. So you don't really want to use shutter speed to adjust for exposure. Thanks for joining me, and let me know if you have any questions.